And as Charlie's wife, Linda, she has a few tricks up her sleeve herself. Katie Strickland. And playing Rita, the mother who just loves her son, Isabella Rossellini. Making her Comic-Con debut, I must add. She plays Gina, who has some magic of her own. Emmanuelle Chriqui. Last but not least, as Eduardo, David Zayas. Welcome, everybody. All right, less obvious first question. Tell us about the conceit of the show, where it came from. I've never seen anything about this, exploring the world of psychics this way. Talk about that a little bit.
I had this idea that it would be fun to have a show about a fake psychic who started to have real visions, and I had absolutely no idea where to set that up. I didn't know if it was going to be, a TV guy, a Vegas magic show, and I was walking in my neighborhood one day and I walked by a card parlor and I went in and got a reading, and that was it. It was just like, oh, this world is just unbelievable.
It started with Les in his script. Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. I thought it was fascinating that once I started reading the script, I realized I had a lot of misperceptions about the psychic world. I thought it was kind of a crackpot industry, and what I realized was it's an actual industry. And I also had the false notion that it was about scamming people who had really little or no money or no education, no smarts. It was again just the opposite. These were very wealthy people, very smart, and a lot of them were white collar and wealthy. So I wondered, how can you kind of get through life, be successful, be educated, and actually be scammed by these people? So that character, Charlie, had that ability, and I didn't know how to do it yet, but that intrigued me.
Do you think I can ask anybody on the panel this, does your character have a moral line? Is there anything they won't do, or is that part of the fun of the show?
I think so. Anything goes.
That's different for everyone, right? I mean, every character has certain lines they won't cross, and then certain lines that they really enjoy exploring.
I'll take that answer. So Katie, talk about Linda a little bit and what you found in her that just appealed to you as an actor, but then what you found once you started playing her and getting into this world.
Everything appealed to me. I had not seen this character, for myself, I have not had the ability to explore such a complicated character, because there is nothing uncomplicated about this woman. There's nothing on the surface about this woman, though she shows up exactly as who she is, which I think is a really interesting thing. There's so many different avenues that I got to explore creatively, but also as a mother. What do you do if you're put in a circumstance of wanting to shift things for your family? What is the cost of that? And also the past that is so rich in what we'll discover about Linda was really exciting for me to explore too, because I just didn't feel like there was anything that was off the table, and I didn't feel like there was any wrong impulse. Not to say that, it's an easy character by any stretch, but I felt like anything that hit me in the gut probably had to come out of me, because that is what Les allows you to do through these characters. They're just extraordinarily complicated people and unpredictable. And I love the idea of playing someone that's so
Knew it was infinite in possibilities. That, back to your first question, there was a moral line, and I think at some point every single person in this cast will cross it. And I don't think they knew that before, in a funny way, the series began, that they would do that.
Exciting. Well, I was excited to see Isabella Rossellini in this series as Rita. And I have to say that the first time we meet her, I was kind of excited to see her, but then I got a little scared of her. She's a tough cookie.
Rita is scary.
How would you define the character? How would you describe her? Because you could say she's a villain, but that might be too easy to call her that.
Well, she is a villain, definitely.
Okay.
But first of all, I was intrigued of playing a woman who is a sort of the godfather of a group, you know, that she's really charged. And I come from an ancient civilization, Italy. And I know that a lot of women in Italy are really the boss of the family, and everybody's terrified of them. They never really talk outside the family. There's always a husband, a son that talks for them. So when Les wrote the story, I was very familiar with that type of woman. And she's smiley, she's warm, she's benevolent. You cannot cross her, you have to obey. And I like the character. I mean, it's just something that I'm so familiar with of an ancient civilization. It may not be now with modern women and emancipation, but it's not that the women that were oppressed were not bossy. So I played that. And I actually watched over and over again for inspiration Marlon Brando in The Godfather. And he was like a grandfather. If you look at the film again, he was benevolent, kind, he plays with the baby, he has a little cat, and then he was the biggest murderer.
A little bit. So she's not really a fake at what she does, but talk about her a little bit and what we'll see as the series unfolds.
Well, it's interesting. So Gina's not a psychic, so she doesn't live in that psychic world. She comes from Vegas with her own bag of tricks, and she's a hypnotist, and she's very skilled. She's very good, she's very manipulative. I think what Gina was so interesting is what you see is not what you get. And that's always fun to explore. And I always, when we read the script, we all agreed that the thing that was so intriguing about it was that all the characters are just left of center. Like there's just, no one's totally normal. Normal's boring, or what is normal. So I had a lot of fun just exploring Gina and the fact that she can be vulnerable, that she can be manipulative, that she can be dangerous, and that really she will stop at nothing to take care of herself first and foremost. Who's selfish too.
What we saw in the scene where she and Linda kind of get into it a little bit. How do we see more of that just combativeness between the two ladies?
We're dynamic together.
Dynamic.
Spoiler.
Sorry, yes, very much a dynamic duo, for sure.
Emmanuelle, what did you find about the psychic world? You did some research or looked into the world a little bit?
I've always sort of been pretty familiar with that world. I don't go to a psychic on a regular basis, but I definitely know that, and I have had friends, and I have gone, and I think just the whole world, I really do believe that there is far more than we see going on all the time. So I do sort of believe in this other universe. And, funny, I think we discussed this before, was that prior to getting this, I had a hypnotherapist for years. So, I always say, life imitates art, or art imitates life. And I remember when I auditioned for Les, I was like, no, I'm really familiar with this. So it was fun. It was fun to go to her and get some real things about hypnosis, mirroring.
I was just gonna